Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Packer Universe podcast, aka the Pup List. This is a kind of a special first takeaway episode with Tay and Ren. This is kind of like an FT, but really it's like the last take of our draft predictions and our final thoughts before the draft starts in 2 days, 24 hours from, no, not 24, 48, if I can do the math. We are that far away from the draft here. We're getting excited, too excited to do math, Ren. How you doing?
Let's get nuts! Let's get nuts, people! Get a little T-Bone, George Costanza there, Tay, for this thing. I mean, why not? It is here. We got the Detroit Lions president of football operations making fun of us, thinking we'll be second like we've been or third like we were last year to their draft, and they're already proposing new stuff. So, hey, it doesn't matter. It's going to be a good time in Green Bay. This is the smallest market in the NFL. And what better than some hometown cooking for the rest of the NFL to see and a showcase of Northeast Wisconsin, which I think you, I, and tens of thousands of millions of Packer fans around the world, Packers bars everywhere. I don't think the Lions can say that there are Lions bars in Rome, Italy, or Barcelona or anywhere else. But guess what? Sorry, president of the Lions. We can say that because, yes, this is the Packer universe, not the Lions, and it's going to be a showcase of Northeast Wisconsin. We're pretty excited to show it to everybody.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've said it before, but I think this is a different experience because it's a different town, different city. I mean, we've got Titletown, we have the whole district going on that everyone's going to be able to see, and it's going to look fabulous on television. Everyone's going to be like, dang, I wish I would have went, or now I'm going to go for sure. I think you're going to get a lot of that from NFL fans around the United States and the world. They are going to think twice about coming here and probably pull the trigger because it probably wasn't even on most of these people's radar. But now we get to showcase it, and I think it's going to be awesome. They're going to do a really good job of everything there. Obviously, all those like hammer shots, you're gonna get those money shots on drones and whatever they got going on. They're gonna showcase this. Obviously, when they show the guy at the podium, a back view, you're gonna see that nice pillar of Lambeau Field atrium right there that says Green Bay Packers on almost every shot. It's gonna be fabulous, and we're gonna be there, Ren, and we're gonna be loving it. I'm super excited now. We kind of figured out parking, so that was kind of like this thorn in my side. I was like, well, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna, logistically get here? Now that we got that squared, I'm way more excited, and I'm just gonna enjoy the moment. So I'm super excited about this, Ren. The draft experience is obviously new for you and I, and we will obviously be on the ground, boots on the ground, and we're gonna be trying to, I guess, share our experience with our Packer Universe podcast followers. So if you're not following us on Instagram, Facebook, X, even TikTok,
just go hit
do
the
it.
subscribe on YouTube, Tay. That's
YouTube
the
too.
one we want. That's what helps us out. I mean, that's what gives us more traction. Just do the YouTube thing. We're extremely grateful. It's free, like we are gratis. We don't have any ads on here. You don't have to, hit fast forward 15 seconds or 30 seconds when you're watching this thing. You just get our dumbasses the whole time.
That's right.
It's fantastic, Tay. How can you don't have to listen to, oh, Lowe's has, spring sales coming up, or the latest gadget that somebody else is selling you on a Packer podcast. So, hey.
It's kind of funny. I was hearing like the NFL draft in Green Bay ads this week and last week on podcast, automated ads. So that was interesting to me. I was like, hey, you know what? I think I might go to that because of that ad. But anyway, we're gonna be there. We're gonna have a blast. We're gonna try to report as much as possible from there. Do some shows, probably after the fact, and maybe if we feel up for it, and if we can, if it's not too loud, we'll be doing stuff from the draft area.
100%. Say we'll do a live quick five if we can at times. How take the temperature of the crowd, see what's going on, give you a little just kind of overview of what we're looking at from our position and where we are. I know we're just talking off the mic. You want to get in that theater on Thursday and get
Oh yeah.
well set so we can experience a little bit of round one as close as possible.
So we're gonna be there, but really part of this little show we got going on here, first takeaway is to kind of give our thoughts, our final thoughts on what the Packers will do, predictions as to what the Packers might do. So Ren, we got pick 23, round one on Thursday night. What are the Packers going to do? Are they going to trade down, stay put, trade up? And then if you can expand on that, what player or at least player position will the Packers pick on Thursday night?
I heard some unfortunate news, like about the 7 to 10 teams in front of us also might have a need for interior defensive linemen. Didn't make me feel great. Interesting draft this year, and they get more and more interesting with NIL deals. That's name, image, and likeness. You've got the portal in college football, which has had players move from team to team almost on a yearly basis. Brian was talking about his presser yesterday with the movement around college football the way it is today. It's a harder gauge, but his scouts are on top of it. They're communicating well with each other. You might have a scout, like he said, in Southern California, talking about a guy who just, moved out to Miami, University of Miami in Florida, and it's two different scouts, and they're doing their thing to exchange information, get the best player profile they can. But this thing has gotten really, really hard, and it seems like per Brian's presser yesterday, those guys, have their I's dotted, T's crossed as best they can. You could tell he's not a fan with the player movement in college football because It doesn't give you the full profiles that you're hoping for. And kind of going back to your immediate question is, what are they going to do? Well, some of these guys that we've talked about, from Shamar Stewart to Will Johnson, Derek Harmon, a lot of these guys, it's come out, they do not have full RAS scores. They didn't do all the testing. And the Packers have not taken a non-RAS guy in the draft. Brian did say we don't use RAS scores.
He does not. So it must, whatever they're using must align.
Bullshit, Jay. Sorry, I had a cough there. But nowadays they use GPS, which, the Power 5 conferences use. Well, RAS scores do mean something to Green Bay Packers today. It's pretty clear based on some of the guys they've taken in the top 100 the last many years under Brian. He as he goes on to say, I mean, the measurables do matter, but he also loves the character pieces or guys professionally ready. I'm gonna nail it down, Tay, to if Kenneth Grant is available at 23, that's going to be the Green Bay Packers pick. We're going with the Mountain of Man in the middle, soak up those double teams, and just come along as your Kenny Clark true replacement here in the future, who, again, as we know with Kenny, I think 2025 will be his final season in Green Bay. And they need to shore that up. So that's where I'm going to go. That's my final answer today.
Okay. I hear you. Yeah, I listened to the Brian presser too, and it's like we don't really use RAS scores. It's like, okay, but you use something, and whatever you're using, gets you to the kind of same conclusions as the RAS score. So whatever, dude, and of course, is that
they like
true?
Athletic guys? Okay? We know they do. I mean, if it's a RAS score, if it's his GPS algorithms, as he's telling you, he goes on to say the measurables matter. So essentially, all the measurables per a relative athletic score matter to him and his scouting team. So does it matter? Does it not? I'm not sure. You don't use RAS. You use something to that end.
Well, I think he uses the GUT scale, the gut scale, Goody. But like looking at just like the last several drafts that he's done, I mean he has a type of draft, and whether it's the RAS score or whatever else he's using, I think they pick players that will fit with the Packers, and according to their kind of mold that they've got going on, and that can be guys that aren't ready to be picked, on the big board, and we get disappointed. And it's like they stick with their guns and they go with their list and they trust their list. And has that worked out for them? Sometimes, but it's not super great, honestly. I mean, you had a couple home runs, but you fear that they take an edge, round one or a cornerback, and you just kind of cringe a little bit because you're like, that hasn't worked out, really. I mean, Rashawn Gary's great, but, Van Ness, where's he been?
But even Rashawn has not totally lived up to the massive contract he got. So there would be plenty of people that would come after you for saying that, Tay. I mean, that he hasn't earn the paycheck. So edge and cornerback can wait till day 2 in rounds 2 or 3, or even day 4 in rounds 4.
But I can make the argument that the D tackle is deep here, and you can wait on those guys to get a couple few of those, and maybe one of those is the replacement.
But can you get the next Gravedigger, Tay? I don't know that you can, Tay. So
yeah, I don't know. But I don't care about like history. I just want them to hit a nail on a pick. If it's Kenneth Grant and he's a force to be reckoned with, great. But if it's a Will Johnson cornerback, I'm all for that too. I want that player, that stud player, and I would love it if they came up and got the wide receiver they wanted. I think that's important too. It's either got to be wide receiver, the guy you want, playmaker immediately, or it's one of those defensive positions. And edge rusher, I just feel like a lot of those will be off the board that are just dynamite. So maybe you wait. But what I predict, I think, is going to be defense. And I'm going to say, I just don't think Jair's around. I think I'm just going to go on a limb and say it's Will Johnson, cornerback. They're selecting first, and we'll see if the curse continues. But I kind of hopeful that it's a wide receiver. I want them to have a tall stud, and I think what is that? Jaden Higgins would be phenomenal. I would love that 215, 6'4". I would love that pick, and maybe that's where you break the mold. Maybe that's where the Goody takes his GUT scale and flips it and takes the wide receiver. When the Packers are here drafting in their hometown, that would be dynamite. I would love it. Just one pick in the entirety of the draft history for the Green Bay Packers. Pick one player that that the fan base wants. I mean, like, wouldn't that be amazing? And then later on, we find that out that Goody actually did it and he pulled the trigger on a fan base want. I mean, that would be dynamite. Win, lose, or draw. It's like he's so closed. He doesn't say anything. That presser the other day, was it yesterday? It's just like, yeah, everything is just whatever, and it's just there's nothing there you can even get out of that's even worth anything. So it's just like, okay, whatever.
There were a lot of good chuckles and laughs, and just guys having a good time, throwing out softballs to Goot that they knew were going to just have to be that because he wasn't going to give you anything. There are interesting anecdotes like, hey, we should have just taken a 5-day vacation after last Friday because we're all set and we start thinking about it too much. Therefore, that's a little bit of insight. I like that.
Yeah.
But the reality is, I mean, Tay, you talked about the wide receiver. They brought in Tet McMillan this week as I think their last top 30 visit. Not only was Brian supposedly, according to his presser, he doesn't know if there are other GMs there, but he was the only GM at the Pro Day in Arizona, and now they had him in. And is this, Tay, to give you a little hope, the Packers just showing you they had no touches on Jaden Higgins at all? Is that the guy? Smoke screen, Tay.
Right, exactly.
No visit. Not much to hear about. Don't talk about him. Don't get a question asked in yesterday's presser. Obviously, got one about Tet.
Yep.
Who knows? Out of nowhere, Jaden Higgins maybe is their guy.
But that is the key here. We're not stupid as fans at doing this podcast. Like, of course, he's not going to say anything that's going to lead to for any team to figure out what they're doing. Like, we know that, but it's just kind of like, I don't know, just have fun with it and be a little bit like whatever. Like, yeah, we don't know. We don't know what we're doing. We got it all figured out. But yeah, thanks. Nice question. But yeah, whatever. Be a little light about it and know that you're not going to give it show your hand with it.
Tay,
Uh,
to be a fly in the wall, on the wall in
oh
their
yeah,
draft room would be. I would love to see the boards. I would love to hear the conversation. Just if they could record that once and give us that, they do all these NFL films in the
yeah,
summertime. Give us a team's draft room. Maybe teams would never agree to that because it's giving up kind of how they approach a draft and their in the way they do things. But man, that would be incredible theater. I would love to see and hear it.
yeah. That would be awesome. Maybe they could do it like 10 years later, right? Like do the
Yeah, Brian's
2015
gone.
release. Yeah,
Nobody. I mean, obviously with Ted, rest in peace. It would be like, yeah, that's a long time ago. So.
yeah. All right, Ryan. Well, I'm picking Will Johnson, cornerback. They stay at 23 to do it. I don't think they have to move up. You're saying Kenny Grant,
Kenneth
defensive
Grant.
tackle. They're staying put.
They're
And
staying put.
I think that's what they're going to do too.
He's got the full athletic score, unlike Derek Harmon and the other big boy there from Ole Miss. So yeah, they're going to go with the guy that they have the full background on. Shocker, and
Right.
he isn't taken before 23, and he's still there to take. I think it's a home run with Kenneth Grant at 23.
All right. Well, let's find out who's right in less than 48 hours. I can do math even at the end of the episode. Thanks everyone for listening, sticking around, and obviously, patronizing us by listening to our podcast and following us on YouTube. We appreciate it. We'll be at the draft and we will do our best to share our experience with all of our fans. So we really, really appreciate it. Thanks for joining me tonight, Ren.
Yeah, I'd say it's always a pleasure, and another pleasure in less than 48 hours. Until the next first take from 1265, Tay, on the pup list.